Hi team, welcome to the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. This week we're going to catch up on the latest in getting geared up as a brand new level 60. We'll also talk about the fun stuff going on in our guild, Alea Iacta Est. Our astromech today is EPC-97, who will be broadcasting this show from an escape pod very soon. We provide this service for the good of all of us, except the astromechs. With me as always is Seema. Hi Seema, how's the Nar Shaddaa gambling going?
Oh my God, gambling. Well, I don't have the patience that I used to have, so I haven't been able to spend a lot of tokens. I bought like 100 tokens and I still have like 44 left. I just keep winning more green tokens. It's like goes on and on and on. But I haven't won anything but, green tokens. Maybe 3 blue tokens in the top half of that stack. So that's how gambling's been going for me.
Yeah.
And Max, what have you been doing with basic comms?
Well, that is an interesting story. I finally found a use for basic comms. It came out of UtiniCast. They talked about it, and we all ended up trying it the other night because we're always capped on basic comms. I had 1,000 basic comms. I need that to go up to 200 like the Warzone comms cap. Anyway, what you do, if people didn't hear it on UtiniCast, is you go onto the fleet, into the supplies quarter, on the outer ring, in the second most bay to the right. Maybe it's on the left for the Republic. But it's one of the Corellia planetary vendors. It's the one who's level 50 and has the gear, not the mods. And he sells something called an artifact treasure box. Artifact something something box, and it's purple. You buy that for 12 basic comms. You can open it immediately, and you get an item out of it that's either worth 0 credits, if it happens to be a birthright item, which you can get maybe about 1 in 10 times, or it's worth somewhere between 2,500 and 11,000 credits. The weapons that you can get are 11,000. Most of the moddable gear is 9,000, and then some of the implants and stuff are 2,500 or 3,000. So you don't have to wait the countdown period. You can pop the box open. It's 12 basic comms, and you can sell that thing immediately, which I found very useful. So I did that.
Oh yeah, if you
unloaded some comms.
spend all 1,000 basic comms doing that, that could add up.
It sure could. Yes.
Math.
Rich, I tell you. But besides that, I think that's a good tip. So I wanted to say thank you to UtiniCast for that. And I would also like to talk about the news.
Now an Imperial News Network report.
So yes, as Seema said, the nightlife event is in progress. I too had spent a little bit of time, just a tiny bit of time there. I'd used 100k worth of tokens, and spending all of those tokens, all 100 of them, and then the Kingpin tokens I got out of it, I got 1 golden certificate, and that's it. Which I don't.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even want. So.
Were you watching Netflix while you did that?
I was at the end of the stream on Sunday, so last night. So I was actually streaming that, which had to be thrilling to the people in the chat room at the
That's
time.
some good entertainment right there, Max.
Quality streaming. So, what else is in the news?
I guess the temple chair has been fixed now, and some number of exploiters have received their bans, but so now the temple chair is back to its correct price. So feel free to buy them now without any fear.
Excellent. We also got a little bit of news about PvP. Just a tiny note that we are coming up on Season 6. There will be no preseason to Season 6, so we'll go directly from PvP Season 5 into Season 6. But they did note that there will be a preseason to Season 7. So what I'm thinking is that Season 6 may extend through the summer. Season 7 may be the lead up to October 27th. And they may introduce the preseason as they change the way some of the PvP gearing works as you get up to there.
What does that actually mean, preseason? What happens during preseason?
So that means the previous season stops, and then you can still play ranked matches for a while, but they don't affect any of the ranking. So
Oh, okay.
you can sort of goof off and try things out, And it's usually an opportunity for, if there's any class changes or gear changes, for people to take that extra time to gain the new gear set and make sure they're all geared up and ready to go. There was also quite a long PvP, speaking of PvP, there was quite a long thread on Reddit in the SWTOR subreddit this past weekend. It was one of the longest comment threads, the most active comment threads in Reddit in a long time. It had over 480 comments on it, and it was all about PvP. And it was started with a discussion of, hey, if a new player gets into PvP, hey, wouldn't it be great if you guys weren't so mean to them so they didn't leave and quit PvP immediately? And there was plenty of spirited discussion. A lot of people agree. It seems like the majority of people agree with that position. Don't be mean to people, and maybe you'll get more people PvPing. But a significant number of people on the other side of the equation, especially some of the hardcore PvPers, were saying, well, hey, it does get really frustrating for people to come in there who don't know what they're doing, didn't PvP up at low levels, they're jumping in and they're sort of like ruining my game. And given that, I'm certainly justified in calling them, you know, whatever names I want to call them.
Losers.
And telling them they're terrible and telling them to, you know, go die in a fire.
Right, because you ruined my fun.
And I see both sides of this. I tend to come down more on the side of the lack of a toxic environment could potentially bring more people into PvP. And most of what was going on in that thread was a difficult situation to promote to new players that this is what you need to do, this is what you need to educate yourself on in order for you to get into PvP. And until you do, until you know all this stuff, don't come play. I think if you sort of come at it from that attitude, and that's the culture you're trying to promote, you may get fewer players than you would like into PvP. Further, some of those people that were giving that advice and coming off as the experts were giving bad advice and didn't even know themselves. So to say that new players have to come at it from this position that they need to go to PvP school and they need to Google and they need to figure this stuff out, if they just read this thread, they would be lost, because there was misinformation about how you even gear up. You know, oh, just go and get yourself some of that 168 gear and you'll get 2018 expertise. Well, first of all, the half of the people that were saying that are wrong. You do not use 168 gear to get basic comm gear and turn it into a full set of 2018 bolstered gear. Second, now you need to research what expertise means, what bolster means, what 2018 means, why that's even a limit. It's not like we have an encyclopedia or a definitive source for any of that information. It's difficult. So if you want to come at it from the perspective that only people who are experts can come in and play random, unranked war zones, you're probably going to get less people. So maybe that's fine. And still, so on the other side, maybe that still is fine. I don't think SWTOR is really at the level of an esport, but the PvP matches that are esports do certainly have high levels of toxicity in their environments. You look at something...
Right, you're thinking of like League of Legends.
Yeah,
and...
exactly.
Yeah.
And so I cannot say that there's a correlation to making the environment less toxic and getting more players in. That, you know, we don't necessarily have evidence that would necessarily be the case. And if it's going to ruin somebody's environment, fine, you can be upset about it. However, because SWTOR unranked PvP war zones like Voidstar are not an esport and are not elite, maybe it pays to just calm down a little bit and coach people a little bit more and put up with some new players doing whatever they're going to do and not call them out on it. One of the things that I've been doing lately is playing Here's the Storm a little bit. And I only play solo queue. I'm not playing ranked matches, and I'm not playing with a team. So I'm playing solo queue. I get in there, the match starts, there's still somebody sitting back in the beginning area. They don't know what they're doing. It's pretty obvious. I don't like, you know, you're terrible. Go back to your basement. I hate you. I look at it as here's an opportunity for me, one, to play really well and carry this person, and two, I'm just playing solo rank. This is what I've signed up for. I haven't put a team together. I haven't, picked the best of the best. So this is what I get. And maybe if I'm really good and I can carry this person, I'm fine. So if I'm playing 8v8 PvP in SWTOR, I come at it from that perspective too. Maybe if I'm really good, I can carry some noobs who sit there and do nothing but get killed all match. That's fine. I can do that. So, I don't know. There's my little rant on PvP.
I keep thinking about, like, if you were in the supermarket and the person in front of you couldn't figure out how to put the groceries from their cart into that moving, like, belt
Well, then
bench,
you push them
thing that you
down,
do in the
Seema.
grocery
You
store.
push them down.
Yeah, you call them loser and all this. If you did that, you would be the one getting escorted out of the store,
Right.
not the other person.
I get the frustration because I felt it myself, and I
Yeah.
get the idea that
Yeah.
you would prefer that people are educated. And some of those people in that thread were very good PvPers and very good about inside and outside doing a lot of education for new players. I still think a little bit less toxic of an environment from time to time would keep more people in the game. I think League of Legends could potentially have a lot more players if the environment wasn't so toxic. I know some very good game players who will not go near it and won't touch it because of the toxicity of the environment. So that's how that goes. So a little rant there in the middle of the news. What else we got in the news to wrap up SWTOR news, Seema?
Just want to note the server transfers for 90 cartel coins have started and are now in progress. So if you ever wanted to transfer to another server or see what it was like, gosh, this is a good time.
Yes, it is a good time. It certainly is. I haven't transferred anything yet. Are you planning on transferring anything?
I am planning on it. There are servers where I have characters started, and it would be nice to bring my legacy over so that they could at very least have rocket boost.
That's a great idea. That's what I want to do. I've been thinking of leveling up some characters on other servers, and now with this as an opportunity, I'm definitely planning, if I ever get around to that, leveling them up on Jedi Covenant and then transferring them. Let's see, in guild news, for Alia Yacht Est, our guild, we do have our 3 ops teams that continue to run. The Sup Imperial ops team on Wednesday nights is doing pretty well. They might need a sub from time to time. You can check them out. The Soldiers of Light is our Republic ops team on Monday nights. They do need another full-time member. They have subs from time to time, and they've had to have a sub on a regular basis. So I think Sten, one of our Canadians, is looking for a full-time member to check in there. So check that out if you'd like to join that. And then our Lords of Light Imperial Ops team is the one that Seema and I are on, and we continue to stream on Thursday and Sunday nights. I think this Thursday we might be out. There's a few people. I think there's 3 people that might be missing, although I may be there. Now my business trip might have gotten canceled, Seema, so maybe we
I
can
think
do something on the
Draxus
side.
might miss us if we skipped a Thursday.
I think he would be. He's been terrified that we've been going back in there. He's been having a really bad time.
He would be bereft if we didn't show up.
He's quite stressed. I don't know. Maybe we should give him a break. We'll see. What's up this Tuesday, Seema?
Probably Nightmare Karagas Palace on the Imp side for mandatory fun night.
Excellent. I haven't been there in a while. I would like to do that. And I know people are looking for some of the achievements and the decorations and maybe an awesome.
And it's a nice quick run. I mean, we might do something else after that too.
Yeah, we often do. So I still don't have one of those monolith decorations from the world boss on Ziost. So let's go do that.
Yeah, we should go do the world boss, yeah.
Those are awesome if you haven't seen those.
So attendance is not mandatory, but the fun is.
If you come, the fun is mandatory.
That's right.
And finally, thank you very much to the chat room. We've got a big crew in there tonight. And I wanted to do a special call out to our chat room winner last night. It was last week, who was JT HollowNet, who we did a little drawing after. I forgot to mention, JT HollowNet, JT_HollowNet on Twitter, is one of the 2 co-hosts of the Corellia Run podcast. Who I've known for quite some time and has been in and out. So Jason Taylor and Heather are the 2 hosts of Corellia Run Radio, which is CorellianRun.com. And that's another one of the great SWTOR podcasts out there. That's one of the ones on my list with Utini and Bad Feelings and a bunch of those great podcasts that we have in the community. So thanks Jason. Thanks for chiming in, and certainly hats off on the great work you guys have been doing there forever on the Corellia Run radio podcast.
Indeed.
But with that, I think we can talk a little bit about suiting up.
Stark, we got him.
Banner?
Just like you said.
Then tell him to suit up. I'm bringing the party to you.
Suit up. So, we had a new player join the guild this week who had played way back at launch, and he got his character up to 60, and he asked me the question. He asked in the forums to start, hey, how do I gear my character up? What should I do? Do I need to start running flashpoints? Do I need to, get a whole bunch of comms? What do I do? And I thought, hey, it was a good opportunity to catch back up on how you gear up an endgame player with the current resources that we have in the game. And it's really nice. I started realizing when I started ticking it off in my head of how to go about doing it, it's very easy to gear up a player to be ops ready, story mode ops ready in almost no time. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
I think it's easier now than it ever has been.
It absolutely is. They've sort of they've brought this catch-up mechanic into the game. I think by design, that
right.
I think is there to allow people to get in very quickly. So yeah, we're going to get into that. And TLDR, if the big spoiler is, it's Ziost. Go to Ziost. Yeah. So that's what we'll get into. But first, our little game for the podcast chat room tonight has been come find Max and Seema, and no one has found us yet, have they? We've been going for like 20 minutes now. It's not too hard. It's a little bit
like we're hiding in the closet
to.
somewhere.
Yeah, it is a little bit difficult to get to, but it shouldn't be too hard to find. So, so come find us if you're in the chat room, and you're trying to find us. You can get to us from either side. We're in the middle of the starting areas, in between the two starting areas in that place. Ziost for 190 gear. It's great. So the gear is blue 190, but it's still, the stat range is in between 186 and 190. So I don't know why the mods are all colored blue. And in fact, I would have thought it would have had a lower stat budget being blue gear instead of purple. But it doesn't seem to be the case. So all of the gear that you get there is 190, right, Seema?
Yeah, right. And if you in order to get to Ziost in the first place, you have to have finished the storyline up to and including Yavin 4, so you probably already have some mix of 178 and 186 already, so I'm sure that's fine for doing these quests on Ziost that we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. That's plenty. All the drops you get through Yavin and Rishi are plenty to get you through Ziost. You do need to do part 1 and part 2 of the Ziost story to be able to get the gear that you're going to need to do, and to be able to unlock the area then that makes the dailies available. So by the time you finish the second area of Ziost, you're going to get a full set of the basic pieces: the hat, chest, gloves, legs, boots. You're going to get those as quest rewards, and they're all going to be 190 pieces, and they're all going to be moddable gear, and they look cool. Then you're going to need to start to fill in. So now the slots that you need to fill in are what? You need belt and bracers still. You need earpiece and implants. You need an offhand weapon, and you need a main hand weapon.
Right.
So now a bunch of those you can still get from Ziost, right?
Yes. Yeah, almost all of them except for the main hand. We are not on Ziost. We're just talking about Ziost.
Yes.
Just saying to Elion D2 in the chat room. Yeah. Yeah, so you can get everything from the Ziost vendors except a main hand that you just listed for varying prices. And you have to have the hologram thing that you were talking about earlier and gold. I mean, basic comms. Why
Basic
did I
comms.
say gold? Basic comms.
So there's a vendor on the orbital station. The vendor is on the orbital station near the terminal where you're going to go down to the surface of the planet. There's actually two vendors there. One sells 2 decorations plus the Ice Tromper mount. The second one sells these extra pieces that you're going to get. And the pieces that you can get off of that vendor are belt and bracers, and those each cost 6 Ziost memory holographs, which we'll talk about in more detail in just a second, plus 40 basic comms each. You should have a ton of basic comms by this point too, because all of the dailies and everything as you're leveling up gets you a bunch of basic comms. But it does cost the 40 basic comms plus the 6 Ziost tokens. Earpiece and the 2 implants cost 80 basic comms each plus 15 Ziost memory holograph tokens each as well. And then everybody can get an offhand weapon that matches their class and spec, which is 80 basic comms plus 10 Ziost memory holograph tokens each as well. Now, the tokens, those Ziost memory holographs, where do you get those, Zima?
You get them from well, what we're proposing you do is you get them from the daily quests, right?
Yeah, I
Like
think that's the
each
easiest
daily
way.
quest you get one, and then from doing the weekly quest you get another like 4. If you kill the world boss, the world boss weekly, so you have to kill the instance boss too for that weekly, right?
Yeah, yeah. So
So you get 6 for that.
that's the hard
And
one.
it also drops off the world boss too, I think.
Yeah, then I think each time you kill one of those outside world bosses or the one in the lair boss, you get them as drops too. So
Do they ever drop off the champions that wander around out there?
I don't know. That's a good question. I meant to try to find that out and look up. So there are a series of monoliths that are roaming around. There's one that sort of sits off in a corner. You want to kill those because there's an achievement for killing 50, and there's not very many of them around. But I don't remember if they drop the holographs or not. Regardless, there's 5 of those dailies, so that's 5 tokens. Doing those 5 dailies gets you the 1 weekly, which is another 4. The world boss weekly, that is a little bit difficult because the lair boss does take some coordination. That lair boss also has the chance of dropping main hand weapons, and if you do it on hard mode, which is very hard, it can drop some of the best weapons in the game, which are rated 204. But I think is it 186 or 192 main hand that drops off the colossal?
Story mode, I think it's 192.
I think it might be 192, so that's quite a good weapon. But only one is dropping there, and you can only do it once a week, and you get locked out. The outside world boss, I think he drops a token, and that one you can kill once every 20 minutes if you're out there, and is relatively easy to kill. We kill it all the time with 8 people. Not much issue. It takes a little bit of coordination, and we did a podcast where we talked about how to kill it. So,
But you can bring people who've never done it before. It's not that much
Yeah.
coordination, and you can jump into a pug too. It'll still probably be just fine.
yep, you can tell them the rules and you can figure it out. So that will get you some tokens. So if you do the dailies for a few days, you might need to do them. So let's see, if it's only 5 for the dailies, then 4 for that, then 6, and maybe a world boss. You still
Oh my
need
God,
quite a
math.
bit for if you need everything. If you need the earpiece and the implants and the offhand, you may be doing dailies for a week to get all of the holographs to get everything. However, you'll still have stuff that you got from Rishi and Yavin that you can use in the interim, and you'll get pretty close and be close to being able to jump into story mode ops even without it. Because 190 is better than what we all started when we were doing Ravagers and Temple of Sacrifice story
That's
mode
right.
for the first time. But within a week, you'll have better than starting gear for all of those operations, except for a couple other pieces. The only other pieces that you'll need to either talk to a crafter on or find somewhere else or get off the GTN, which is really what I would recommend, is just talk to a crafter, get off the GTN. They're relatively cheap these days, are the 2 relics that you'll need. And if you're a DPS, those relics, or a healer, those relics are Serendipitous Assault and Focused Retribution. That's what everybody needs. Even though there's like 20 choices, Just go get Serendipitous Assault and Focused Retribution. So get the 186 version of those real cheap. And then you'll need a main hand weapon, or if you'll probably have a main hand weapon, you'll need to upgrade the barrel or hilt, because that's going to give you a little bit of a bonus.
So by real cheap, the relics are somewhere between 150K and 200K. And I mean, if you're doing all these dailies to get your Ziost holograph items, then you're probably going to end up with 200K pretty easily.
Oh, that's actually more expensive than I thought. I was giving them away for free to guildies, so that's how cheap it was.
Well, that is pretty cheap. You're right.
The mats aren't too bad,
yes,
so you could just find the mats.
The mats are not bad. You're right for the
Right.
186 relics. You can find the 192 relics on the GTN if you want to jump right to those, but it's a very small amount and the price is pretty unpredictable. So
Yeah.
if you're going to do that, I would maybe watch for a while to get a reasonable price. But like Max said, I mean, it's probably just better to gather the mats and ask a crafter to make you one.
You'll also need the barrel and hilt. Same thing. Either get a crafter to make you one or find those on the GTN. Same thing there. You could jump right to 192, but if you jump to 192, you're really looking at between 1 and 3 million for your 192 barrel or hilt. So that can be that can be a tough hill to climb. So I would go for the 186s, and those you can get relatively cheap. You were looking at some today that were in the 50K range, right?
Yeah, I was.
So that's not too bad.
That's for the 186s, right?
Yep.
So that's a little bit lower level than what you're getting for the. But that's just how it is for barrels and hilts. So they just are going to lag a little bit behind the rest of your gear unless you want to spend a little bit more.
Yep.
And go up to like 2 million or so to get like the 192 barrels and hilts.
Now once you do that, once you do enough of your dailies to fill in all the slots, now you've got 186 or 190 in all of the slots. You'll be set. There are a couple next steps then you'll want to start looking at if you're coming back to the game and you're not familiar with gearing up. I'd recommend going and looking at a guide just to check out what your stats really should be. For anybody who DPSs, accuracy is real important. That's the one you're going to want to check out. And then there's general targets for some of the other stats that you can sort of get out of some of the guides. I tend to like the guides on Dulphy. She had some really good players help make those initial guides that she's got on the right side of her menu bar. So you can look those up and look at stats in general. You're also going to want to get augments.
Or you can find them really easily just by Googling, mercenary healing Dulphy 3.0.
Yeah.
And I'll go right to it.
Yep.
And they're organized so that you can just leap down to gear and that'll tell you your stats that you're looking for.
Yeah, it's really done pretty well. You're also going to need augments. And augments will be relatively expensive, so you may need to do that over time a little bit and do some dailies to get the credits for it. You're going to need 14 MK10 kits. The MK10 kits will give you the rank 10 augment slot on your gear. That rank 10 augment slot then is what you're going to fill with the augments you need, which you may need a couple of accuracy
looky here.
augments.
We have been photobombed.
We have been. Somebody found us. Congratulations, Fleshfet, the Unmasked. So you're going to need 14 augments, and those cost money. So it costs money to get the MK10 kits or make them yourself. It costs money to add them to each of your gear pieces. It costs money to buy the augments. Those augments, then you're going to need 14 of the augments. You may need a couple accuracy augments to make sure you get to your 100, 110 accuracy if you're DPS to start. And then it's usually main stat or power augments from there, but it may differ. You may need a little alacrity, you may need a little crit, depending on your specific spec. So first, look up your stats, then look up augments and get started on augmenting. And then the only next step is to get into operations, because the only place you can go from there is to Elite Comm Gear, which is 192, Ultimate Comm Gear, which is 198, and then the drops that are coming from operations, which will get you your set bonuses. So the only place you can get those set bonuses are the set piece tokens that drop in operations. So there's a 4-piece a 2-piece, a 4-piece, and a 6-piece set bonus with all 3.0 gear sets. And those give you specific additional abilities that tend to be quite good for everyone's class and do have a significant impact. Let's see, any other, I know we've got a couple other extra tips to keep in mind. What jumps out at you there, Seema?
Let's see. I use moddable gear. I think we already mentioned that. If you want to use legacy gear, then you can actually move gear back and forth between classes. Like if you have mercenary on the imp side and a commando on the Republic side, you could conceivably share gear by just mailing the legacy gear back and forth. I don't do that because I would find myself forgetting, and yeah, but many people do.
I do that between my Vanguard and my Power Tech. And the other reason I like the legacy gear still, and there's a bunch of cheap legacy sets that you can get, is if I do have extra elite comms on my main, I can drop the legacy gear from the alt into my legacy bank, grab the pieces, look at them, figure out what I want to spend the extra elite comms on, buy the piece, put it in, put it back in legacy bank, and then the alt can get it.
Oh, that's a good idea. So then you don't have to like make notes or something.
Right.
Yeah, I
right.
can see that.
I can just dump their whole set in there. And now with the costuming, they don't look naked while I'm doing it.
Yeah, right.
But also keep in mind the costuming. So you have your appearance slots now. Get whatever legacy set or just moddable set if you want. Get whatever legacy set you can find. Put that on as your base set, and just plan on keeping that forever. And it doesn't matter what it looks like, just find one. Then figure out what you want to look like and put that in the appearance tab. You have is this character that you have right now, is that an appearance tab or is that your base armor, Seema?
No, this is an appearance tab, and yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how come my belt isn't affected by unify colors. See how it's gray instead of red like everything else?
Yeah, some pieces are not. So just depending on how they color, you know, what
No, but it
colors
is if if I go look at my actual gear, it turns red. So I haven't like imprinted it or whatever, done something right with it or something.
Yeah. So yeah, this is also a legacy set of mine. This is one of the triumvirate sets. I got to get that new triumvirate set though, because the new triumvirate set that came out with the last cartel pack is the one that sparks. It has the lightning effect when you draw your weapons. I've got to get that. So this is the restored triumvirate armor, which is older. And then I also have my war hero set, which I really like. I think I've talked about this before. But I never I still sometimes I show my base set, which it's just it's mostly Dreadhost gear off of Oricon as a legacy set. Again, if you've got the rep, it's relatively cheap, so I bought that set, and it looks pretty good. So every once in a while, I'll just walk around with that. I changed out
pretty good. Yeah, I like that.
I changed out the chest piece to something else because it had the chest piece had a loincloth, which made me uncomfortable. What else? Any other tips? Especially for people that haven't been around in a while.
You can, as you start to get elite comms, you can buy the level 192 gear then, which will make you even more prepared for ops. And then as you get ultimate comms from like weekly quests, and I think you get ultimate comms too if you do the daily hard mode flashpoints and stuff, then you get 198 gear with those. No set bonuses for this token gear, but at least you're on your way. You're good and on your way.
Yep. Yes. So that is key, though. Since we go up to a 7-piece set bonus now, there's only really
6-piece.
Yes, sorry, a 6-piece set bonus, and you have 7 pieces to play with. There's only really one piece besides earpieces and implants and relics. Well, you can't buy relics with ultimate comms though. Earpiece and implants. That's what you have to play with. So upgrade your earpieces, your implants, and one of your one of your pieces, that and just keep in mind that you won't be able to, you're going to want to be having at least the armoring of the other pieces be coming from drops so that you can have those set bonuses. But it is perfectly valid also to keep in a 186 armoring with 192 mod and enhancement in order to have that set bonus. And a lot of players do that. They'll keep their 2-piece or 4-piece set bonus from previous sets while they're filling in some of the other mods, and only swap out when they get the new 192 pieces for their set bonus, just to maintain those set bonuses because they are so valuable. Also keep in mind, if you're not aware, the armorings for all of those pieces that we've talked about, chest bracers, belt, the armorings, and also hilts and barrels are bound to their particular slot in your character sheet, which means if I take an armoring out of a helmet, I can only put it in another helmet. I can't like move it over and put it in my legs because I like the stats. The same thing with barrels and hilts on main hand versus offhand. You can't take a barrel out of an offhand and put it in a main hand, which makes sense because you can buy some nice offhands with tokens off of Ziost, but they don't. They want you to work a little bit harder for your main hand weapon, for example.
Right.
Basic comms. Basically, they're useless, right? Go buy the artifact
Yeah, I mean, they're
boxes.
good for... Yeah, I think they're good for getting through Yavin.
Mm-hmm.
You get your... But even then, I mean, you get so much gear doing the quest line on Rishi.
I wouldn't waste them.
I know that... You know how they give you the 300 basic comms for free, and those, well, it's actually whatever 3 times 99 is, those 3 little packages of basic comms? I don't think I've opened those on any character.
No, neither have I. Because...
So, yeah, maybe they are useless.
Mostly because I've always been at the
But I'm going to go sell
cap.
mine now
Yeah.
and get 1,000,000 credits.
Yeah, so go open some artifact boxes and get yourself some credits and buy some augments with them. There you go. And as we said, I did have a note in here, but we mostly talked about it on the legacy smuggling. So you can use that technique to take legacy set pieces, and you can either mail them or you can put them in your legacy storage. You can move those back and forth between characters. And as I said, I do that between my Vanguard and my Power Tech, who share a set of gear that I only have to then, for those main pieces, it's the offhand and it's the 7 gear pieces. I don't have to, I can just augment and set those up once, and I don't have to grind gear on both of those guys. And then I do also use it just on, like on my operative. I'll just dump all of his gear in legacy storage, so then when I log in on my mercenary who's always capped on elite comms, I can go and I can just look at all of those pieces, have them in hand, and figure out which ones I need to upgrade without having to update my spreadsheet.
That is so smart. I'm going to do that because my operative, I have an operative that's level 59. And so she's going to be ready to get some.
Yeah.
She has some like 146 gear still, so yeah.
Yep, that's going to be the case. So I think that mostly wraps it up. So welcome back to the game if you haven't been back, and it's not too tough. Grab some Ziost gear and come join us in Ops. You'll be ready to go in no time.
Yeah.
All right, with that, I think our little EPC-97 droid here is ready to broadcast and provide that service for the good of all of us, except the astromechs. And so thanks to all of you for joining us, either by downloading this off of newoverlords.com or off of iTunes, or watching on YouTube, or watching us live on Twitch and joining the chat room. Thanks again, chat room. We will stream again next Monday night on twitch.tv/newoverlords. Somewhere around 10:30 p.m. Central is when we open the chat room and start the stream. Please follow us on Twitter at MaxTheGray and at AIESEMA. Please follow us on YouTube YouTube/newoverlords. Or find us on Jedi Covenant and ask us for a guild invite and come play. Mandatory fun nights tomorrow night. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, guys.